Good morning, you guys. I think it's Sunday. I know it's Sunday, but it's real hard to keep track of time sometimes. Well, listen, I thought I'd come on real fast. Listen, I went to bed dumb and woke up really smart this morning, or at least I had I have some great ideas to talk about. But first off, I woke up thinking, dang, we do have names for things nowadays as we're looking at our Bible as it unravels and tells us things about ourselves that I never knew before. Well, at least within the last couple of years, things have been getting clear, for sure. But anyway, I thought I could show you how this works with us, symbolically speaking, and that whenever I tell you that this is all within just the person, this is all one person that we're talking about in the Bible, and not a whole mess of people. Like instead of there being like four different monsters on Earth, you really are just one. Instead of instead of just one devil on Earth, there's billions and billions of them. You know, there's like billions of them. And they say, there are legions. All right, they don't say that just for the fun of it. All right, but anyways, it's pretty black and white. That the body is divided in half in the stories. This means to be broken pieces, and to be scattered is that that you become more or less that your brain is confused. There's no real place for home. There's no root to you at all because we have been brought onto this earth disconnected. All right, that's the difference between someone that when you come into this world, you are two different beings. You basically have one side of you that's not working, and so it becomes the dormant side, and that's the right side of our bodies, and that represents the female side. All right, so anything that's good supposed to be coming to us, that represents our wine and stuff like that. This is the higher side of us. Doesn't get nourished in any way. It's just the Father that gets it. So I wanted to show you. I will run down on how the Bible sees the human being. Okay, so we obviously have a left and a right side, and the right side is always the good side. But anyways, we live out of the dark side. This right over here is the beast, the 666, the lower side. And so it has the horn. So when you see the two horns together, it's usually that's showing you one horn bigger. There's two horns to you. That means you're double-minded. Okay. And horn is strength or power. All right. Remember in yesterday's story, the idea that one horn, a single horn, came up and it had like an eye and a mouth and talked great things, was also this idea of the goat from the east, or a goat from the west, coming in and shattering the two horns and taking it away. That means there's no horns. It just doesn't mean there's no power, but the idea it took away this block that kept us from going any further east to keep us from going on and conquering this mountain, all right, and obtaining this idea of the law and connecting mother and father together. But that's how this works. We have mother and father on the right and left sides of our brain. That's what they are. This is the higher. Over here, this mother represents the spirit. So this is something that we can't see. The beast is a physical side of us. Is us. That's what we can see. So we have mind and matter, and we have spirit. Okay. Our soul is represented as our brother. We have to love our brother. If you kill your brother like Cain and Abel do each other, Cain would be this side, would be the physical side, kills its physical, it's a not so physical brother. That's the messenger that we send up. This is the seed that we learn to plant. This is the child. Listen to all these names. They are all meaning the same thing. All right. It's also the damsel for, us girls, guys and girls, the idea that the mother sends a damsel to go and have a head cut off or something like that. But that way the parts can intermingle and mean both male and female. But they're talking mostly about males because this is the male side of the mind that's being treated, and it's the female side that's being hidden. And we can see why they're hidden, why they're hiding. Your emotions and your desires become your sisters. So at the end of Lot's journey, his sisters are also daughters, all right? Sons and daughters. So those intermingle with each other because they're all in the family. All in one, guys. So sisters and daughters. So this would be this idea that when Lot made it up to the mountain, his daughters got him drunk off the new wine, which is spirit. I should write that down, make sure that this gets on the side. Wine. And this is inside of you, and we all become this grape, and what God is squeezing out of you is wine, blood, spirit. They're all the same. Right? Epiphany blood. Blood has to be shed, right? So it's the spirit, this idea, and this pouring out of the spirit. So to your sisters. And so what we get in here, there is, of all the stories, and everything that we're working on here, is introduced the stranger. Okay, the stranger, or is the strange woman. She is represented as the queen of the south. She, the queen of the south, goes and makes a deal with this queen of the hearts, which is the second faith, the kingdom, second kingdom in the last stories that we read of Daniel. All of these things is that, the outside woman, she is taken over. We side for her. This is the lower. This is the lower. This is where the fallen angels come from. We are the fallen angels because it's our heart and the emotions that bring us down, and we take the strange woman over the mother. This is also the wife. And what you're supposed to recognize in this is these are things that are outside. These are outside of you. This is why they make them out to be strangers, and that they're outside of us. This is religion. It's outside of us, where we are really hardwired for being spiritual. So the religion winds up being like the business, and it's the works. They give us the business. So you can see how all this is sounding like a joke, but it's just for real. It's just absolutely for real. All right. So the way it works is it's off our chakra system, and I can do a quick little rundown, but when Jesus does his descent into hell, that's that's our Lord's Prayer. Our Father that art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. It's the throat chakra. Because there's only six. There's only six in this. Remember, he's coming down, and he is not, he's not hooked up to God yet. He has to come down. He's writing letters to all the churches. That's what these are. The 7 churches, so he can, open them up on his way up. But he has to come down first. We all come down. This is where they say Jesus never sins, but in fact, he has to. He has to come down. He went down into hell. But the way the stories work is that you're him. You came into the world without connecting, so it brought you right into sin, right out of that. You're not connected to God. You're blaspheming him because you don't know the word correctly. You're taking the bad guy approach to this, and he's the good guy. And he's like, oh, why did they treat me like shit? Well, it's because they made you that way. All right, you made yourself that way, Lord. All right. So the queen of the south is a strange woman. She represents religion, and she grabs our heart. And this is the daughters of men and the sons of God. We are the son of God, and we go for the daughters of men, which is our emotions and stuff like that, which brings us down, that becomes a fallen angel. And we have to do it. And yes, Birdie Bird, they made a vow to do this. We made a vow to be without God. And I'm telling you, Birdie Bird, you ain't got no God in you. You have the ability to bring it all about. But right now it ain't working. All right. Only because you don't understand this. And I'm trying to make it simple for you. All right. Uh look here. The third church, and in our Bible, the third church is the seed of Satan. All right. In the outside world and all these other spiritual books, the sixth chakra is the seat. The sixth one up here at the head is the seat of the soul. And guess what he sits on? Yeah, the rock. He sits on the stone. He built his house on this stone. This is where the Jew built his house or his palace, right there between the rock and a hard place. All right. We learned up here, we said the crown, the prince is the crown, the top of us. When we talk about when you make it up to the top, these are princes. But this is an outside thing. All right. This is representing a physical thing. So kings and queens are way up in the top where the crown is. In the head of this here, in the sixth chakra, we have governors. In the throat, we have captains. In the heart, we have judges. In our stomach is the treasurer. And from the counselors, we have, from the sacrum, we have counselors. And from the root, we have sheriffs. These are the names that the chakra system has. This is what it means when, in regular running order without God. That's what it is. All right. Regardless of whether you're with God or not, it has to do with our chakra system, and that's the name for them. All right. But when it comes down to it, when it's the church and the letters to the churches, that's these guys right over here. And there are tons of names. There's the seven angels, the seven devils, the seven this. Oh my gosh, you guys. But this is the first day, second day, third day, and after you do your works, do you make it into seven and get your rest and get your fill and get fed. There's a lot of feeding going on, and they want you to remember the feast. Pretty much they want you to remember the feast, but this is all representing the family. And so you would see that the outside people are, the wife, which is an outside person. She is the stranger that comes into your life and rules over it. So she represents the lower side. She represents the third kingdom, which is body. She represents the body. This is its desire, and it brings it down, and you cleave to the wife instead of the mother. All right, that's how the story goes. All right, so that X's her out altogether. So when we make it all the way through the works, when we can make it all the way through the ends of our sixth, when we get back up to the sixth, when we get our crown, what we do then is now it's God. Now God exists in your life. God is because they've both been brought together. And it took this child, it took your brother, it took the love of your brother to get you up there. Okay? And, I'm worried about you people that can't, do any kind of, this thinking, this idea of complex thinking, because, you have to see yourself as like some kind of, all these different symbols, all these things, it's kind of tough for people that don't have a mind for it, but the idea is pretty simple. You don't want to let outside things come into your life. And of course, this is the way it goes. These things take control of us. We've given our dominion over to this lower side. We have done this on purpose and without, and not even knowing about it. We just did it, you know. Not very many people understand or know what we're going through, what we're talking about, but this is the shit, you guys. This ain't no lies whatsoever. It's just so simple and easy. But anyways, we are all in this together, you know, and it's only when we let these outside things in here that it screws everything up, right? That's how it works. This is the idea of the male side. Whenever it goes to go to this woman, it's another. It says it says that some, you know, it's manifested from the male mind, religion. She, the stranger, is representing the side that she is. He brings this on himself. It's his own lust, his own wants, brings this on and pollutes the system. All right. So it doesn't mean not to go out and find love and do this and do that, but it's a good idea to tell you that, you know, when you're bringing in something from the outside of you, that you're deluding yourself, or you're taking something, you know, and you're making less of you out of it. It's kind of strange. But anyways, it's not meant to make much sense when it comes down to making real life out of it, because you know what happens? The woman winds up being second, you know, second fiddle. She's not allowed to participate in anything, you know, and she only can only act when someone's asking her and talks and stuff like that. She has to sit quietly, you know. That's terrible to do to half of the population of Earth, make them submit to a bunch of fucked up males, all right? And I'm just saying that because I'm kind of unbiased in this, because I recognize the problem. I could see that right off the bat, what we on the outside think is the perfect family, the perfect thing with the mother and the father and all this pink and purple and stuff, it just ain't working. It's just not working. It doesn't make the family whole. It doesn't make anything any better to follow this idea of the man's outside working and the woman is inside the kitchen, all right? It just so happens that in symbolism, she does the cleanup and he does all the labor. It's just crazy. But that's what happens. Like on the outside body, the human, the person that's representing that body is doing all the work on the outside. But when he finally gives it up, when he shuts his mind off for that little short bit of time, he is giving it over to the female side, which is the invisible, the spirit. She comes in and cleans house. That's, you know, so I don't know. I just think that we're, you know, everyone is equal. They really are in so many ways. And if we were brought up that way, we wouldn't have all the troubles that we're going through right now. You know, this battle of the sexes is crazy. You know, I give up already. I give up, you know, but only because I understand it. And this takes the fear away and it gives you, oh, this is why. It doesn't solve any problems, but understanding is the first thing, the first way of trying to make a dent in things. All right, well, I got more things to tell you. I got some of the coolest stuff that I have found to share with you. It's just crazy stuff. And it's all about Bible and stuff. You know, I'm hoping to drag people that have the smarts. This is intelligent stuff. Even if you don't think much about me, it's you know, a lot of people didn't think much about it. The story about Jesus, you know, being born in a manger and on the low end of things, and just poor carpenter, stuff like that. But you'll find that the good things don't happen to great people. They fall in the hands of those normal, everyday kind of people like me. All right. So if I become a stumbling block to you, you know, go on with your stupid self. All right. Chapter 2. I love you.